Okay, so now we are going to talk about how to write a short story. So now that you've learned a lot about short stories and how to actually diagnose certain things within a short story, how to break it down between literary elements, literary devices, and the plot graph, we're going to talk about how to write one on your own. So the first thing you need to do is create an engaging opening. Your opening should have action, conflict, or an unusual image to catch your reader's attention. Introduce the main character and the setting to your reader in the first paragraph. So that means like in the beginning, you want to introduce who your main character is and where they are, okay? Set your reader up for the key themes and ideas in the story. For example, an opening line like, I was lonely that day, does not tell your reader much about the narrator and is not usually engaging or unusual, okay? So instead, you want to try an opening like, the day after my wife left me, I rapped on the neighbor's door and asked if she had any sugar for a cake I wasn't going to bake, showing a little bit more details about this person not doing well. This line gives the reader a past conflict, okay, the wife leaving, and the tension in the present between the narrator and the neighbor, okay? You also want to stick to one point of view when you're writing a short story. So a short story is usually told in the first person's point of view, and it stays with one point of view only throughout the story. This helps to give the short story a clear focus and perspective. You can also try writing the short story in third point of view, but this kind of creates a lot of distance between you and your reader. You want it to be a little bit more easy to understand what the person is going through, trials and tribulations of that specific person, so you can feel more attached to the story. If you're saying it in third person, it's like someone watching over another story, so it creates more distance between the entire story with the reader and the actual person that they're trying to connect to within the story. Some stories are written in second person where the narrator uses you. This is usually done if the second person is essential to the narrative, such as Ted Chiang's story, Story of Your Life, or This Is How You Lose Her, right? Telling like kind of like a self-help kind of thing. Most short stories are written in the past tense, though you can use the present tense if you'd like to give the story more immediacy. So when you're writing a story, just keep in mind that you should probably write it in the past tense. It's a lot easier for you to remember what tense you're using and to keep everything flowing that way. So you want to use dialogue to reveal character and further the plot. So the dialogue in your short story should always be doing more than one thing at a time. Make sure the dialogue tells your reader something about the character who is speaking and adds to the overall plot of the story. Include dialogue tags that reveal character and give scenes more tension or conflict. Okay, so you want to use dialogue with the characters speaking to each other to kind of further what is happening, to kind of give more momentum to the story. Then you want to develop a voice for each character. So your characters are all unique. So the way that they speak to each other should sound different. You don't want everyone to speak to each other the same way. That doesn't make, if everyone was the same in a story, it wouldn't be worth having a story, right? So you want to experiment to see what voice sounds right for each character. For example, one character might greet a friend by saying, "Hey girl, what's up?" Another might say, "Where have you been? I haven't seen you in ages." Kind of creating a different kind of setting for each of these characters, a different kind of personality, so that it helps flow with the story and makes the story more interesting. You want to use different tags in the dialogue, but not too many. So dialogue tags basically means like sprinkle descriptive dialogue tags like stammered or shouted or cried or said throughout your story, but don't make them too overwhelming. Don't try to have so many synonyms for different words, but you want to be like, instead of he like walked, he stumbled. Instead of he shouted, he like, instead of he spoke, he shouted. Instead of he sat, he like wiggled in his chair. Like use kind of different things, right? And then you want to end with a realization or a revelation. So this is like concluding the story. So the realization or revelation does not have a major impact or have to be super obvious, but it does need to, it can be subtle, where your characters are in the beginning to change and see things different. So what a lot of people think is that the revelation has to be some big ending that's like so crazy and everybody now is like, oh my gosh, now I get it. Sometimes it can just be like, now they're working on themselves, now they're changing, now they're trying. It's not to be a big end all be all crazy production, okay? You can end the revelation that feels open or a revelation that feels resolved and clear. You can also end on an interesting image or dialogue that reveals a character change or shift. For example, you may end your story when your main character decides to turn to their neighbor, even if that means losing them as a friend. Turn on their neighbor, or turn in their neighbor, even if that means losing them as a friend. So they're for example, this would be like a story you know this person has killed somebody, you're still really good friends with them, you don't know what to do, but you know they're trying to change, and in the end you turn in that person, and that's kind of how it ends, you know? So it's open-ended, you don't really know what's going to happen next, but it is still a realization or a revelation. Or you end your story with the image of your main character helping her bloody brother walk home just in time for dinner. Okay, so it can be any way that you end this. Now you're going to have your short story assignment. It's going to be posted on the website, but basically you're going to be writing your own short story. I don't really work so much in words, but what you want to do is you want to make sure that it's at least 1.5 to 2 pages single spaced, okay? Single spaced. That means double space would be 4 pages around. And you want to make sure that you have all elements of your short story in there. So you're going to submit to me in advance a plot graph, which shows who your main character is going to be, what you think that the inciting incident would be, what's the rising action, what's the climax, falling action, conclusion, so I can know that you're on the right path. Then you're going to actually write your short story using that plot graph to further fill in all of the details and make it actually something that's enjoyable for the reader. So that's going to be posted in the on the website, so you'll be able to see that. So that's basically the gist of your short story assignment. You will also have a short story rubric that will show you everything that you need to look for when you're writing your actual paper to make sure that you aren't missing anything that is required of this. And that is the end. So good luck on your short story assignment. I'll see you soon.